to the Art of Placemaking. I'm Patrick Ahern. We're here today at the Victor Zollo family property. It consists of 4 structures, a 1682 vintage main house, a newly constructed guest house, carriage house, and folly building that Victor uses as his office. We're right on the harbor. We've got a brand new dock that we've reconstructed, and it's a wonderful ensemble piece. Victor, thank you.
Good to see you, Patrick.
Good to see you. Well, here we are at the main part of the house, dating back from 1682. This was clearly one of our challenging issues.
And a brief history might be appropriate. This home was originally built on 8 acres, acquired by John Coffin in actually 1679 from Governor Mayhew.
Wow.
This land originally was 20 acres in total. And I think some 300 years later, we were still dealing with that legacy. We needed your expertise to maintain the charm and yet renovate and restore from the natural linden tree that sits in the yard, which we understand to be about 150 years old to 180 years old. And I know you helped us so much in making sure that Norman and our builder protected that, to all the other nuances, whether it's the brick walk-in landscape. So our goal, as you know from the onset, was to try to preserve its history and yet in the same breath refresh her for the future.
One of the other little details on the main house is the bay window, and that was the original window that we surgically removed from the side of the house when we were, and then put it back again.
Indeed.
And that copper roof is probably 200 years old.
Exactly. Jackie and I did pretty extensive research, and it wasn't happenstance that we had the privilege of working with you.
Well, thank you.
Because of the work you've done here before, and I'm sure you'll do in the future.
Well, thank you, thank you. To me, the hierarchy was always the original house. So here again, we chose the Cape Cod vernacular, and we had 2 rounds, as you know, with the dormers.
Yes, we did.
These are the ones Victor wanted. The first go-round, the Historic District Commission felt they wanted to have shed dormers. Victor came here and said, Patrick, this is not working for me. I need you to go back and chat with the Historic District Commission again. I think the net result speaks for itself, and the scale is right, and it feels like an antique cape versus a newer one.
One other comment about the guest cottage from an owner's perspective. There was a small 2-bedroom cottage there. This cottage is a little more gracious, but sits on the same footprint again.
Right.
And so we've preserved the community's look and feel, but yet we have the benefit of a more grand home.
And then the other piece over here along South Water Street is the Carriage House. And I think, you know, it really sets this wonderful ensemble. And what we also were able to do is preserve the public view corridor through the property.
Exactly. And I think that's something, again, that both you and Michael Donnarumma brought to us, and we wanted to aspire to that, so that our neighbors, when they looked at the property, they saw what they've been looking at for many, many decades.
Right. Victor, let's go down the path and talk about the garden we created, and here we are at the old foundation elevation of the guest house.
That's right, Patrick, and one of the things that we appreciated is that you kept this elevation difference incorporated with the new walkways and gardens, and this is exactly as it was when we started the project. There was always a home right where the carriage house was, and that home was actually bought in the 1700s and moved just up the street further to Summer and Cook. So we've sort of taken history and brought it back to Edgartown.
Right, and the scale of the carriage house is not that different than that house.
Correct.
Well, let's head down towards the harbor.
Very good.
The guest house almost takes on a New Orleans character with the raised porch and the brickwork.
Something you may not recall, Patrick, but you took us out on the harbor, and on the guest house you introduced, and I'm not sure the proper name,
The sweep.
the sweep.
Yeah.
And we've grown very fond of that as we've lived here now and look at it.
It's kind of the new history.
Yeah.
Well, here we are at the harbor side of the house, which, as you know, Victor, this was a street at one time.
Indeed.
And this was the front of the house. And the enclosed porch over the doorway is also a replica of at one of the porches at one of the times that was there. So we took that theme of the porch and then extended it and created the breakfast area as though it was the porch that got enclosed over time. This idea of implied history is really based on history as it was on this house.
First, Patrick, I want to thank you. Our neighbors and friends have shared the elevation from the harbor with great affection, so we thank you for what you kept and created. Our cellar, which was 300 years old, literally was unusable. We truly used it for garbage and storage, you created an incredible living space for our family. Let's go check the pub out, get a score.
Here we are in Victor's Pub. This is my favorite place in the whole entire house. And this fireplace has been recreated exactly as the blacksmith had when he worked on ships in the harbor. Here we've got Victor's Bar. Moving over here, we've got a whole media area as well. And we introduced the stone walls that match the foundation to the outside. We used all the old timbers from the house and the old flooring. We've got a nice little powder room over here. And then we created a tea room, which was the old garage. It's just a wonderful series of entertaining spaces on this level that were never available in the old house. Again, this was all low ceiling basement with basically no foundation.
It's not the news, but it's pretty good, Patrick. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Victor.
Salute.